Hey team, Katie here from Equestrian Movement, and today we are doing a training on how we do desensitization a little bit differently. So today we're going to be working on our desensitization to the whip with Havana, and what we are looking for when we are doing desensitization is not just stand, but we're looking for consent and relaxation as well. So the process of getting our horses to do desensitization is what we're trying to do is we're trying to take them out of the fight, flight, or freeze part of their brain. So this is an area of your brain that is purely reactive to your environment to protect you. It's like a self-defense mechanism, and it is a very different area of the brain to where we make decisions, consolidate memories, and do our problem solving. The two parts of the brain don't work together. So we can do desensitization where we are conditioning our horse to stand still and freeze if they are fearful or if they feel like they need to defend themselves. That is what our traditional desensitization process looks like. What we want you to consider is that that's not enough if we want to have a horse that's capable of learning and the emotional agility to shift themselves out of fear and tension if they're uncomfortable. And so you're seeing little cues from Havana here where we do our consent and relaxation process. We want to have our relaxation process established first before we're doing desensitization. So we're seeing relaxation cues. Horses are so good at showing us when they're shifting out of tension into relaxation. It starts with just the little quivers of the whiskers, and then the little quivers might move up into their cheek where we see the nerves start to fire, and then they start to salivate. We see the licking and the chewing. We can see those gentle tail swishes from Havana as he releases tension from his body, and we can see little shifts in balance. These signs are super subtle though, so we really need to be paying attention, and even I miss a lot of them until I watch the video back as well. So you can see here we have technically got our desensitization process. We have stand. But we have stand with freeze. You can see the tension that he's holding. He's holding it in his ears, he's holding it in his eyes, he's holding it in his nostrils. The tension is so clear in their mouths when we don't have consent and when we're having antagonistic response from our horse. So you can see the little release of tension there. He swished his tail first, then he unlocked his hocks, he shifted his balance, and he stepped into me. We call this process the softening. So what you saw first was his defensive walls coming up to say, I don't like the whip, don't use it on me. And then we're coming into the softening where he softens into connection with us. So we don't have true acceptance of or consent of the whip just yet, but it's a process, and unfortunately it's not a particularly exciting process to watch as a YouTube training. We have to have a lot of patience. But this is how we avoid the big behaviors and the big antagonistic behaviors. So we're looking for the tension that he's holding. You can see it in his lips clamped shut. His ears are tight. His body is tight. He's doing a little bit of emotional agility where he's putting himself to sleep, but we don't quite have consent yet. Eye contact is also a strong cue for consent. There's our relaxation there. We can see the jaw softening, the chewing, the licking, and then we have the consent where he targets my hand. So eye contact does tell us a lot with our horses about whether they're willing, engaged, and consenting. The aversion of eye contact is our first no. And then the tension holds from there. So it starts to hold through their body, their ears, their jaw, their eyes. And then that's our no continues to escalate from there. It might become kicking, biting, rearing, pulling back, those kinds of things, just depending on how far your horse feels it's getting pushed into having to protect and defend itself. So we propose that instead of taking our horse into this place of relaxation and connection, into this antagonistic direction, we're going to start with our relaxation stand with relaxation and consent our tools, so that we're giving our horse the tools to deal with their fear and not just telling them that their option is to freeze, stand with tension. So we're seeing one of my students out at our obstacle course training day, and she did such a beautiful job of setting Hunter up for walking through the tarps. You can see what she's looking for here is just that he is moving around the obstacle without fear of the tarps blowing. So he's showing nice relaxation there. He's engaged, he's interested, she's patting and praising for him moving around it without, being too worried about it, without too much fear. So this is a process, right? This is steps that have been built into, on the ground with our stand with relaxation. We can see the gentle swishing of the tail. He doesn't feel stressed, and he feels confidence, faith, and trust in his rider to set him up successfully to navigate the scary obstacle. His head is lower than his wither, which is a nice indication that he doesn't feel stressed. We have the gentle swishing of the tail as Mel rubs the tarp over his body. Really lovely setup for him to confidently approach and walk through the tarps. So if we had done our typical desensitization process, you might find that your horse here would start napping, what we would call jacking up, resisting walking towards the tarps. So through a combination of doing confidence through curiosity, so building up their ability to investigate the things they're scared of through targeting, and then our relaxation and consent cues, we can see how Hunter is able to confidently navigate this obstacle. Bearing in mind he's never actually done this before, and quite often when he goes out he can be very nervous and tense because he gets his confidence from being in an environment that he knows, and the change of environment can make him scared. So if this is something that interests you and you would like to have a more relaxed pony when you're trying to investigate the scary things, then check out our course, Holistic Horse Handling, and we give you the emotional agility skills you need to confidently navigate scary obstacles. Until next time, happy trails.